is TWiP.
This is a This Week in Photo live stream that I am doing solo without my buddy Troy Miller. Troy is out and about and enjoying the world, as he should be with his family. And we missed last week because I had some personal family stuff going on. So, damn the torpedoes. We got to get this critique out. We're going to do it solo today, and we'll see how I do this. Of note, next week, if Troy's back, Troy will be joining us for that one, or joining me for that one. But if he's not back, and even if he is back, Renee Robin will be stepping in as a co-critiquer next Monday. So, and that will be critique number 142. And the topic for that one will be sunset. So a week from today, we'll be recording the sunset one, whether it's just me or me and Renee, or me, Renee, and Troy Miller. So anyway, that's it for that. I want to dive in. I think we've got about 18 submissions this week for this episode, and I want to dive in and do them. Impoverish is saying, what's up, Impoverish? And he's also saying, do I do video? You do video. Yes, I do video. I'm doing video right now. Or what are you talking about? Video editing? Are you talking about, do I perform on video? I don't know. What are you talking about? Anyway, let's dive in. Feel free to ask me questions. Oh, I see. Yeah. He's asking about this gimbal I have back there. Yeah, I do video from time to time. Yes, I shoot video, but you know what? I wouldn't call myself a videographer or cinematographer or any of that stuff. When I was using that gimbal, I had a specific need for it for a project I was working on, and it so happened that DJI at the time, you know how it goes, released the new gimbal. That one, I forget what model that is, but it's the smaller Ronin, the Ronin S. So it's the smaller version because I use Micro Four Thirds for the most part for video. So I picked it up. I've been happy with it so far, trying to avoid the upgrade creep of how all this stuff goes. But yeah, it's fun. Yeah, you just got into editing video recently. Yeah, I just spoke at a Final Cut Pro summit that just ended yesterday, and that, man, I tell you, the crowd that is around Final Cut is pretty amazing. And then a couple weeks before that, as you guys probably know, was the Adobe Max conference, which was, all things Adobe, including Premiere. So there was that buzz around Premiere as being amazing. And then we've got DaVinci Resolve, which just updated with some crazy new features in it. So, it never has there been such, I think, an embarrassment of riches when it comes to video and any kind of image processing or post-processing for the most part. But now it used to be like, these tools over here suck, so use this tool, it's the obvious choice for you. Now it's not that easy because all the tools are pretty damn good on all sides. So all right, let's dive into this. Yeah, man, don't tell me that DaVinci Resolve is solid, because I know it is, and I'm trying to avoid going into that rat hole. All right, let's dive into our session here. Let me go ahead and share the screen. So here we are. We are in the TWiP Pro Photo Critique group. It is now a group. For those that may not have realized, I moved it from being just a topic into being a topic and a group, or an entire group in and of itself. So it's almost like a mini community within the community that allows us to do a lot of cool different things, like have events that are specific for the community or for this particular group, and not have it mess with people that aren't necessarily interested in critiques or anything like that. So it just kind of tidies things up, especially since there's going to be several more groups added very shortly, along with courses and a bunch of other things. And this move will make a lot more sense when you guys see everything in context. So let's dive in here. Let's go ahead and reload this, just make sure I got the latest and greatest in here. I'm going to blow through these relatively quickly, especially since I don't have that dead weight of Troy Miller holding me back. I can go fast on this. I'm just kidding. He's not dead weight. He's very much alive. Still wait. Michael Rhino says, I just realized that I might have previously submitted for my other photo, Garden of the Gods, previously, so let's skip this one and use this one from Canyonlands. Okay, so we'll use this one and skip whatever else he added. All right, look at this. And remember, the topic for this critique was open. So you can submit anything you want. This is a cool shot. I love the way that, like, I love the way you got the sun in there. I'm wondering, see, I hate the fact that I have to ask if those sun rays were actually there, because I know you can add them later in, you know, all kinds of tools now, but Luminar is one of them that has the, gives you the ability to add sunbursts in there later. But I'm curious. Regardless, it looks fine the way you did it. I love it. I love the way the lights skim off the rocks here. I love the interior of what looks like you're shooting from inside a cave or something. But I'm guessing that's just an arch. But very cool. I like it. Really cool. When we look at shots like this, I always think about, wouldn't it be cool to have a person in this shot? So I don't know. The only reason that I'd want to have a person in this shot, other than I'm a person photographer, is the scale. Because looking at this, I know it's huge, but I don't really have anything in here that tells me how big these structures are. I don't have any sort of point of reference. That's the first thing. The second thing is I'll have to bring this into Photoshop, but I am not sure if this horizon is horizontal. It looks like it might be leaning to the left, but that may be an optical illusion. So I didn't need to bring it into Photoshop and bring a guide down to take a look at it. But if so, that's an easy fix just to kind of tweak that off to the right. But cool. Thank you, Michael Reno. Appreciate it. All right, moving right along. Our next one is from Stephen Sharf. Stephen Sharf says, Los Hombres. Didn't we do this one? I feel like we did this shot for open already. Let me see here. Even if we didn't, photo critique, he updated it a week ago. So he's in the window. Let's just go ahead and do it. Okay, I believe we did talk about this shot, but I'm going to go ahead and talk about it again. So when I look at this shot, I see a lot of activity. So the first thing I see, obviously, are the people in the shot, and then I look deeper to see what these people are doing. I like they're all, they all got different expressions. Each one kind of, as humans tend to do, has a different story inside this frame. Black and white, though, when I see graffiti, I think color. I think explosions of color. And I'm not sure that the black and white is selling this one for me. I'd rather have some, just kind of see that this is the excitement of that particular neighborhood. And because the graffiti is almost another character. And then in black and white, these characters are starting to get a little bit lost in there for me because there's so much detail and such a high frequency of detail. And then lastly, there's this sort of blank area down here in the lower right that is begging for something either to be cropped out or otherwise used, because it's kind of making me wonder what this space was for. So that's the only other thing. Like when I see color or things that are obviously vibrant in color and to take that away, it kind of makes me think, why is that not there? Especially on this shot where, like I said, there's lots of high frequency because there's so much going on in it. So the characters are tending to blend in almost kind of Where's Waldo. Like this guy off to the right here, you got to kind of look to find him in there. Whereas this was color, I'm sure he would pop out a little bit more. All right, those are my thoughts on that. Let's make sure we're sorting this by date created. Yes, we are. All right, let's move right along. Thank you, Stephen Sharf. All right, next shot up is from Mark Charette. He says, architecture is what I think some structures can become. He shot this during the Sydney Festival of Lights in 2012. Let's take a look at this shot. Oh, wow, look at that. Absolutely. There's absolutely art. Isn't it crazy how just these giant structures, especially if you rewind back to when skyscrapers were first sort of show up and they were very much Art Deco for the most part, and now we're just seeing these clean lines. And it's also awesome that these architects are starting to, they started many years ago, but that they use light as a way to also refine and accentuate the structure. So you see that in Vegas a lot. Vegas, for example, Vegas at night is very much different than Vegas in the daytime. So it's just, you can see what was intended for Vegas at night, whereas in the daytime, I guess they expect everyone to be asleep. But on the merits of the shot, I like the shot a lot. I like how it's pulling me into it. It's kind of hard to see because this is a shot that really wants to be big, but we're looking at it small. You guys are looking at it in a Twitch stream. So it wants to be bigger, I feel like. I even like the fact that this part of the building on the right side is kind of going away because our brain knows that there's building there, but it's not lit. So it's really given us kind of this paper thin 2D representation of something that we know obviously is a 3D shot. Normally I'd say, man, you're too close to the top here with the shot, but I don't think so. I think that the way that this sweeps up like that adds tension to the shot, and the fact that it's so close to the edge feels like it's intentional because it kind of brings you up there. So those are what I like about this shot. The critical things on this shot are, you guys know I'm not a big fan of borders, especially colored borders like this. So I'm more of and this, obviously, borders and the like are very subjective, so if you like borders, you like borders, which is fine to do. If you don't like borders, then you don't like borders. I tend to err, and Troy and I have talked about this a lot. I tend to err on the side of less is more and minimalism, because when I look at a shot like this and I think, man, that would look good in someone's home, only if that border matches their decor, right? So if it doesn't match, then you have a less chance of either selling this print or having them hang it in their home. If there was no border, or at least a very, sort of monochromatic border around the image, you're letting the person, the final recipient of that shot, make the choices on border. So if I want a mat on it, I'm going to put a mat on it, and that mat's going to match the decor of the location I want to put that photo. If I don't want a mat on it, I'm not going to put a mat on it, and we'll leave it like that. But the argument for borders is, for the most part, the vast majority of images that are shared online, not printed in the physical world. Maybe a small rounding error of shots are printed. So that's an argument for borders. So I don't know. It's very subjective. I'd love to know in the community what you guys think, on the series. Troy and I talk about it tongue in cheek a lot, about borders and key lines and ragged edges and all that. I guess I'm a minimalist, kind of very clean lines and less is more kind of person when it comes to that stuff. Like, all my cars that I purchased have been black or gray, right? So I'm very boring in that respect. I like to add stuff onto the thing, to personalize it, maybe a splash of color here or something there. But very rarely would you see me in a, kind of brightly colored car with crazy rims or anything like that on there. It's just not the way I roll. And I don't roll that way creatively either. But maybe you do. All right, Mark Schratt, thank you for that shot. Moving right along, the next shot up is from my buddy Craig Colvin. Craig titled this one "Shadow Walkers." He taken in Oslo during the 5-hour golden hour. All right, let's take a look at this. This one is really striking. I like this a lot because you can tell the intent of what the artist did with the shadows and creating that cross out of them. And when I look at the shot, I look at it and the first thing I see is that, those two lines with a line going through it in there. I'm like, what is that? And then I see the people, and then my brain puts it together. Oh, these are people walking on a texture. I love that. I love the fact that it draws me in like that. And I love the fact that he used these long shadows intentionally to accentuate the geometric pattern below them and also break it up, because we've got these very, strict perpendicular squares or the grid behind these two people walking, and then it's completely broken up with the organic shapes of their shadows, and then that line going through the shadows hits it home. So I dig this a lot. Not a whole lot of feedback on this one. I like the way he's positioned this one. He's cropped it, put subjects in the upper right hand corner. I like the crop. It doesn't look like it's exactly square, but even that makes me kind of wonder, like, why isn't it square? It's very cool. I like it. Very good, Craig Colvin. However, looking at this shot, we always say, in the service of the shot, does color add to or take away from the shot? In this instance, I'm not sure of the color. I'm not sure I care about color. Whereas in the graffiti shot, I care about color because, I want to see that explosion of color on the screen. I enjoy seeing that. On this shot, the color's not doing it. Beiges, and I can see a little bit of red in the guy's shirt on the left. It's not really doing a whole lot for me. So why is the color there? Would it have been more impactful and more of a statement on the, sort of geometry of this shot had it just been stark black and white? I don't know. Just my thoughts. All right, moving right along here. Oops, wrong button. Let's go here and hit this button. All right, moving right along. Armando's up next. Armando says, this is the ladder inside of the town hall of Sao Paulo, and today was the election for the next mayor or major of the city. Down there, another ladder on the floor. Yeah, I love these shots, these sort of perspective shots. I did a shot similar to this looking up in Paris. I'll post that later. But looking up in Paris at a spiral staircase like this is just mind-blowing in terms of you have to really look to figure out what's going on. Same here. This one looks like a hall of mirrors. It looks really, really clean. I can tell what he was attempting to do, and you can tell he probably had vertigo taking this shot. I don't want to drop my camera. Is my strap around my neck? This looks like one of those shots. I like this a lot. Again, here we go with that color exercise again. The starkness and geometry of this shot, I think black and white serves it very well. And he went on to accentuate that and kind of say, I meant to do that with the thick black border and the white key line around that plays on those similar elements within the photograph itself. So I really dig that. And I think this is a perfect use or a really good use of black and white. So because if this was color, we'd be distracted by the color. This way, I'm really looking down there. I'm getting my sense of vertigo as I look down there. I see those ladders. I think one thing, like I said on the previous shot, the one from Michael Rhino, was a sense of scale. So something organic in this shot, I think, would have kind of given us an anchor point. Right now, we're looking at a lot of geometry, which is awesome. The shot is awesome on its own, just like this. But it might have been a little bit more impactful if down that kind of hall of mirrors into the distance, there was a person with their hand on the railing, so we could then, our brain could do the math to figure out distances and lengths and heights and all that cool stuff. But like this, it's really cool. I like the shot. This is a really good use of the border and the key line, in my opinion, as well. All right, next shot up is from Nora Zanatnas, and Nora says, sushi for dinner. One of parents flew out to get the fish and brought it back to the two young fuzzy loon chicks, red-throated loon, aka the red-throated diver. Let's take a look. Yeah, that's cool. That is really cool. Yeah, so yeah, this one is, so okay, continuing on the thought of color, right? Would color, like, what do you guys think in the chat? Would color on this color on this shot add to the shot, or does color take away from this shot? On this particular shot, I'm on the edge. I think it would do fine. I think it does fine as either, because I kind of want to see, when I'm looking at this particular bird, I need that color information almost to tell me what kind of bird it is. Because in black and white, it could almost be anything, right? And that red eye, that kind of brownish red eye on the bird kind of brings me into it. I may have cropped in a little bit tighter, though. I don't feel like we need all the space here at the bottom and at the top. Maybe crop in a little bit tighter, put the bird's face on the intersections of one of the rule of thirds and bring it in tighter. This water is not doing a whole lot for me. I know it's in water. So I could get more pixels of the bird and less pixels of the water with just a little cropping exchange there. Okay, looking in the chat here, Ginger Bearding says, might lose the separation in black and white. Yeah. Stephen Sharps, yeah, it's worth a try. Yeah, I agree. That's the whole experimentation part of this. If you're working in Lightroom, just make a virtual copy of it. I think Capture One probably has something similar. But yeah, Yeah. And that's the fun of photography, right? We get to play around and see what's what. Cool shot. Definitely brings you into it. Thank you, Nora Zanotness, for that shot. Next shot up is from Michael Kautz. World Gone Mad. Tell me about it, brother. Look at this. Yeah, I love this. You know what? I ordered a let me switch to me for a second. I ordered on basically I was inspired by Tim Ingle, and you guys remember the plague masks of the what was the first giant plague in the 1800s. I ordered the kind of duck beak plague masks that the doctors used to wear, and some old school kind of steampunk goggles to go with it for a self-portrait shot that I want to do. We'll see how that goes. But that's very similar. The look is very similar to this kind of dystopian look here. I like the shot. I like the gradient of the lines kind of extending out behind him. Obviously intentional. I like the processing is very stark. That one eye visible. Yeah, this is definitely a sign of the times. I like this. This is a lot of fun. This is definitely a lot of fun. A really cool portrait. Only negative that I would throw on top of this one is, if there is a negative, I like it in black and white. I like the processing of it. I even like it looks like it's intentionally heavy-handed on the processing and dodging and burning for effect here. So I don't have a problem with that at all. But the cutting off of the head up here, it's not egregious in that I would say, this is a horrible photo because you cut the top of his head off. I don't think so, but I think it would have felt a little bit better with just a little bit more space above. You still could have this tight crop. I see what you're trying to do and cropping tight on the sides here, but the head is a little bit different. I think I would have given the head a little bit more space, just a sliver on top, and you would have, still had that he's in a enclosed tight space with this gas mask on. You still would have sold that, but we would have lost the top of his head. Cool shot, though. All right, let's get out of here. All right, next up is Joshua Sommerfeldt. Joshua says, how about that? I didn't do it, face. What? Okay, let's take a look at this. Bring this guy up. Yeah, see, Joshua just excels at these kind of shots. I love that. Now, I think a lot of the reason that photographers, and in this case Joshua, excel at these kind of photographs is because they have a genuine affinity for the subject, right? So I know Joshua, he identifies with and likes to capture these unknown worlds, and that comes through loud and clear in the photographs by the service and the attention to detail he does on the post-processing. If you guys have ever tuned into one of his Twitch streams, I would encourage you, if you haven't done so, I encourage you to do so. He posts them in the community when he's doing them live. But yeah, it's a good exercise to see how someone that does shots like this, how obsessive they are about details and zooming in and making sure this piece is right and is that right, and will this be distracted? Is this little piece of lint gonna draw people out of the shot? Is the vignette too heavy? Is it not heavy enough? All those decisions you can see in this shot. I like the shot a lot. I like the cropping of it. I like the fact that we're sort of brought into this world with this guy, and I feel like I'm sitting on the leaf having a conversation with him before he eats me. So it's really, really cool. And I like the background too. I like the fact that we have the giant leaf in the background, which is falling out of focus there, and the one that he's sitting on in the foreground. So it gives us a little bit of energy there. Really, really cool. I like it. I like it a lot. Very good. Thank you, Joshua. All right. Hey, Joshua's in the chat. Hey, Joshua. Armando says, okay, thank you. Good idea. Maybe I put one hand calling. Yeah, one hand calling a visitor. He's talking about that staircase shot. Yeah, maybe if there was just one hand in there, that would have sold it right there. But it was a great shot anyway. Amy Brooks says, what can anyone give you greater than now? W. Stafford quote. All right. Borderless for Frederick. See, thank you. Thank you. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna start a photographers for a borderless print movement and see how it goes. All right. So looking at this shot, this is cool. This is very, this is one of those shots that you might see on some sort of religious paraphernalia or something like that. Just, we've all seen these, especially in California, driving along the coast in the morning. This is what it looks like, as the fog sort of dissipates. I like this one a lot. This one makes me, from a photographer standpoint, makes me wonder, how'd she do this? Was the light actually like that? Did she do that later? And I hate the fact that we have to ask that these days, but I love it. I like the energy of it. I even like the fact that it's not in the center. It's a square shot. It'd be easier and obvious to say, yeah, this is the point of light in the middle of this is going to irradiate from the exact center of the shot and go out. But she didn't. She pushed it off to the side a little bit, adding a little bit of energy, a little bit of tension to the shot. I like that. I like the fact that it's black and white. It looks very mysterious. Is this morning? Is this dusk? When is this? Is it a UFO landing behind the thing? What's happening? It's very cool. I like it. And in the chat, Steven said, this looks like natural light to me. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, this is natural light. I was just saying that most likely this is natural light, but the quote most likely that I feel like we have to say a lot these days is... I'm not liking that. I'm not liking that occasionally we have to draw a circle around, oh yeah, this was actually real. This was done there versus, of course it's real, which was in the days of film. But, that's the old man in me coming out. But dig the shot. Very nice. All right. Next shot is from Eric Ponsky. Eric says, Cascade in the Smoky Mountains. Image taken in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park a couple weeks ago. Cool. I'm jealous. Look at this appropriately socially distanced shot here. Very cool. Yeah, this is cool. These are those shots that I remember, and I actually want to get back to this, playing around with time. And that's one of the things that drew me into photography, to be honest with you, like the getting my brain around light and the speed of light and how photographers can manipulate the speed of light, either by slowing it down or speeding it up in time lapse or, selective motion, which is, I call that, those are cinemagraphs for the most part, or any number of things that you can combine in a single frame to tell a story with our cameras, which are pretty much time machines, so you can capture a sliver of time and then take that sliver of time that you captured into your computer and manipulate the heck out of it. Right. So we're time travelers in a lot of ways. I even have a talk that's actually going to be posted in the community very soon called Time Travel for Photographers. And in that talk, there's a lot of this kind of stuff that this shot kind of illustrates. This is obviously a long exposure, but talking about long exposures and then talking about when you use a long exposure, what's happening on the sensor with a long exposure versus a short exposure. What if you took a shot like this and you wanted to incorporate a human into it or a little bit of motion into it? How do you do that? Those sorts of things. It's really cool when you start thinking about the things that you capture as components to a final image on a time scale basis versus, okay, like some like Renee Robin, a compositing artist, might say, yeah, I'm going to capture this texture of rocks over here, and then I'm going to get this sky with these awesome clouds, and then in the studio on gray or green, I'm going to shoot this person with a wizard outfit on, and then I'm going to get some flames, and I'm going to sit down with some coffee and synthesize it all together. Absolutely, that's one way to do it. But then there's also the time element, because we can display video so easily on all these devices that we have, whether they be tablets, computers, or phones, etc. That means you can do motion stuff and audio in a single frame if you wanted to. So now you can take that metaphor or that mindset that Renee rocks with, capturing different pieces, but then also have that time axis in there as well, where I want this flowing water in this shot, or I want a time lapse of these clouds that are going at 4 times speed in this shot. You can do all those kinds of things and then, have a really good time with it. So on this shot, I like it. I like the shot a lot. Obviously, long exposure. Obviously a long exposure. But these days, you have to ask the question: was this long exposure handheld or on a tripod? So because cameras and their 5-axis image stabilization, a shot like this is possible handheld now. Where back in the day, this would have 100% been impossible to do handheld. Now you could possibly do it. You can even do a long exposure shot like this from a drone, which is science fiction to me. That's just crazy. But yeah, I like this a lot. I don't have a whole lot of comments on this one. This is a really cool shot. I wonder if our highlights are getting a little bit clipped in this area and in this area here, but I'm gonna benefit of the doubt this and say that it's the compression artifacts of Mighty Networks that are doing that. But cool, really cool shot. I like it. I want to be in this spot right now. Absolutely. In fact, that's probably where Troy Miller is right now, in a spot very much like this. All right, next shout out is from Karen Sweeney. Karen says, already shared via show and tell, recently re-edited for the open critique. Okay, cool. A nuthatch finds that sweet spot whilst having a scratch. Yes, we all know this feeling right here. Yeah, look at that. That's that scratching cat look, right? Stephen Sharp knows what I'm talking about. When your cat does that little scratch and gets that feeling of ecstasy from hitting that spot. Yeah, this is cool. I'm looking in the chat now. Stephen Sharp says it's got to be on a tripod. I don't know, man. I don't know. The 5-axis image stabilization on my G9 and on the S1, and I hear Sony's image stabilization is rock solid as well. You could literally hold a camera and get a long exposure, get like a 3-second, and have it be rock solid. So we'll have to test that. But looking at this shot, I like it. I like the colors. I feel like I want the colors to be a little bit more vibrant and pop out a little bit, especially those blues against the dark muted browns in the background, because I'm having trouble seeing the face of this guy a little bit. I think if the colors were popped out just a little bit, I would see the face a little bit more. It looks like there's a vignette on this, and I like the vignette. I like this is a stronger vignette that's purposefully intended to push that background into our subconscious. And I think it's working. But to accentuate that a little bit more, maybe a little bit of dodge and burning on the bird, or just bringing the colors up. There's a million ways you could do it, but make that bird pop out a little bit more. Border and the keyline, don't have a problem with either of those on this shot. They look great. This looks fine. This is a really cool shot. Overall, it just feels like the tonality is a little bit on the dark side. I was in my Darth Vader voice. All right, moving right along. Next shot up is from Mark Harris. Mark Harris says, abstract, made recently when photographing a dancer who also models. To me, this resembles a windblown desert sand dune. Yeah, for sure this does. Look at that. I love these kind of abstract figure studies. Who else used to do who does or used to do shots like this? I think it was Jean-Luc Sif or one of those old masters. They used to do these kinds of fine art nudes where they just show a portion of the body. And then I also saw that there's also, I can't remember the photographer's name. It was this guy that used to do shots like this, but then use them as compositing elements, like we talked about in a couple of shots ago, where he would very much make this a sand dune and maybe even composite in some windblown sand ripples into the skin here to sell it even more. But then you'd see a body element in there that would then take you back into, or throw your reality off. So yeah, I like this shot. So on the merits of this shot, looking at it, looks like his tonality is fine. Looks like he's got plenty of detail in the highlight area here. I like the stark black here. It looks like he kind of went for almost a yin-yang-y type thing here with the stark zero data black, and then with the form, the contour here, and then the darker area down here. So kind of, if we didn't see these kind of ridges here or this little artifact here, it would have been harder. I mean, we could see the skin texture in there, but yeah, it's really cool. It really, really makes you think. And that's what we're trying to do with these photographs, right? Is make people think And from an abstract standpoint, yeah, you just want them to think and go where their brain takes them. Or from a compositing standpoint, you want them to, you want to kind of be a magician and fool them a little bit on what you did here. So really cool shot. Yeah, thank you, Stephen. Yeah, Edward Weston was one of them as well. Yeah, these guys are, we need to have an art history sort of area within TWiP Pro where we surface the works of these people that have done just ridiculously outstanding work. Thank you, Mark Harris, for that shot. Next shot up is from Raphael Timber Geek Swift. He says Bennett College Decay for the open category. Let's take a look at this. Wow, look at that. You almost hear the soundtrack. Some horror music with creepy kids singing in chorus or something. This is crazy, man. Raphael? I'm curious. Did you go in to this shot? I'm curious or into this building, because this is ridiculous. Look at this. Yeah, just on the merits. This reminds me of the Preston Castle that Tim Engel frequents from time to time. It's supposed to be the most haunted place in California. If you Google Preston Castle, you'll find it. But it was previously a home for wayward boys that apparently or allegedly some not so nice stuff happened at. But this looks like not so nice stuff happened in this place either. This is like one of those shots where, you're looking at the photo and suddenly a face appears in one of the windows and then disappears or something. This is crazy. I like it. Very nice. Maybe a little bit more from a compositional standpoint, maybe a little bit more space on the edge on this side. I feel like we're really tight over here. So I'd want it, or maybe even all around on this thing if you could, just to give us that sense of place and where it is. Right now it feels like it's really tight, and I'm curious as to the setting where this thing was. Not that I need to see the neighborhood, but just a little bit more, even if they're just trees on the left and right, just a little bit more so I could get more of a feel for what's going on here. Low Base Guy says, if you look closely in the center window in the lower right, you can see Pennywise. Yeah, right? That's what I'm talking about. This is one of those houses where people go in and they're like, hey, I'm looking for Johnny. Is Johnny in here? Hey, Johnny. And then they go into the house and never to be seen again. This is one of those houses. So if any of you people see a structure like this, I'm going on record right now. Do not go inside. I don't care if you hear voices beckoning you in, or you see a little red balloon floating through the house and you need to go get it. Don't go into the house. Stay away. Shoot it from far away like Raphael did. Shoot it from far away. But cool shot. Yeah, I like it. Very nice. All right, next shot up is from Craig Stampley, Straights and Curves. Let's take a look at this one. Yeah, dig the geometry. Yeah, see these geometric shots, these shots that have that the artist is playing. You can tell that he was very specifically playing with the wavy lines, obviously, and the vertical and horizontal lines. Even that black abyss in the upper center there, it's a compositional element in this shot, because we've got that black abyss and we've got the no data highlights in this shot. So it's extremely high contrast with blacker than black blacks and whiter than white whites in here, and not a whole lot in between. So it's very much a study in geometry. Yeah, so I dig this. It's very, very cool. Very cool shot. All right. Yeah, you guys are going crazy in the chat. I love it. I'm telling you, ginger bearding, Pennywise, man. Joshua hit it right on the head. Pennywise in that shot. You do not want to see. I'm just going to advise you guys, just in general, stay away from clowns. Just stay away from clowns, period. They're not good. Even my daughter, before she could even talk, she didn't like clowns. So, just got to tell you something. Peter Levshin says, Sony A7R4 with a 7200 at the famous Wedge August 2020. We were all staying at home, not going out. It's very dangerous without a mask, but safe at the beach, I think. Yeah, right, Peter. As he says, tongue in cheek. Let's bring this one up. Yeah, look at that wave, man. Jeez, that's crazy. See? That's just nuts. This is a cool shot. So looking at the shot on the merits of the photograph compositionally, I see what we're looking at here. We've got what, 4 horizontal bands. We've got the sky, we've got the wave, and then we've got the ocean, or I'm sorry, the people staring at that wave, and then sand. So it's very much divided into either thirds or quarters there. I see what he did there. That looks intentional for sure. The sky is bugging me a little bit because it feels a little bit dark for what we're looking at here. Whether this is a beach in California or Australia or wherever, it feels like there should be a little bit more data in the sky there. Maybe some clouds or something. I don't know if you'd want to add those in post or not, or even just kind of bring the values up of the sky just a little bit more. I like normally I like these white caps here. I like them crisp on these kinds of shots, like very like impactful, almost clipped whites in some areas on these. But I think this one works really well. This works really well. And the people in there, obviously, we know what they're looking at. They add to the tension of this, and then the sand. So what would I do differently on this shot? I think this shot would look great, or would be even more impactful if he had cropped it square, like right here. Like just these 4 or these 5 individuals in the middle staring at that frame. So then you'd have the blue, the white cap, the people that are backgrounded by that giant wave coming to eat them, and then the sand in the background. I think that would have brought us into the shot a little bit more versus making us feel like another one of these spectators. But if you cropped it, that gives us more pixels to work with, and we're able to zoom in. And we get to see this nice wave here as it breaks the horizon, and it looks intentional. So if you cropped all these people on the left and right out, I think it would have been a much more impactful shot. That's assuming the pixels are there to work with. But cool, really cool shot. All right. Next up is Ernest. He calls this one Conundrum. He says, I like a black border more than a white, so I added a lot. Okay, let's take a look. Okay, so I saw this in the community. Yeah, so I see what you did there. So you're literally leaning into the border. I have thoughts on that, as I tend to do from time to time on things. So the shot itself, Conundrum, these are obviously, you're attempting to bribe the witness, because I'm ex-Air Force and I like anything that flies like this, especially like this. This is crazy. So the shot itself, fantastic. I love the clouds. I love the cloud trails, etc. This is really, really cool. So this is up for debate, and I wanted to like draw a mental circle around this in the community and in the chat to see what you guys think about this. So this is a good illustration of the photographer using borders as a creative element with intent versus as okay, I'm finished with the image, let me throw a border on there. Like this one feels like it's definitely with intent, and he put it on there. On the other side, my brain, my photographer, having worked in the darkroom, with expensive paper all the time, my brain looks at this and says, oh, look at all that wasted paper. Look at that wasted paper. That could have been, bigger. I want to see more pixels of these planes and what they're doing. They're doing this crazy conundrum type maneuver, and I'm losing it because I have the black around the edge. So I'm curious, and obviously this is completely subjective, right? As is art, period. But I'm curious what you guys think in the chat on the, having a really heavy-handed thick border like this versus no border or a thinner border. Does the border work here? Does it not work here? I'm on the fence. I don't know. Because on the one hand, I said, I know that you were doing this on purpose. So that's just great. You use it as a compositional element, which is great. On the other hand, I feel like I'm losing a ton of pixels that I paid for, right? And squeezing that down, it's almost like, you bought a mansion and put one couch in it kind of thing. So I don't know. So love to hear what you guys think in the chat. Low Base Guy says, I only add a border when I print if the frame calls for it. Yeah, that's a really good point, Low Base Guy, because I feel like you limit yourself with, and this again, right? You couch this whole thing as, well, no one, for the most part, most people are looking at images online, so all bets are off when you print. But if you do print, and I'd encourage you to print, if you do print, you're limiting yourself in terms of where that print can go if you crop in a non-standard aspect ratio, and if you put borders on it, because like in this case, you gotta, if this is, I'm guessing this would be what, 8x10 or something, right? So if this was 8x10 or 11x14 US inch sizes, then getting this into the frame would be fine. But then if you wanted to put a border on it, if the mat that he put on the image is equidistant on all sides, that's easier. But in my day, which is still my day, by the way, but in an earlier part of my day, people would give me prints like this to mat, because we used to mat when I was in the Air Force. We used to, rotate different positions, and one day or a couple of days you'd be on matting and cutting mats and framing and doing all that stuff. And I remember when I got one of these to mat, if it was off center, then that was a pain in the butt for me. I mean, that was literally a pain in the butt to make it look right, especially if they asked for double mats or anything like that. It's craziness. So I don't know. I'm curious as to what you guys think. Hey, Shoes in the chat. What's up, man? Wow. They love me. Wow, did I get rated? Wait, what's going on here? This is cool. All right, welcome everybody that's coming in. I appreciate you all. We are going through the This Week in photo critique for the week and talking about images. The question, for the folks that just came in, the question that I just posed to the team or to the folks that are watching is on borders, on the topic of borders. This shot in particular, which is a great shot. I like the confluence of aircraft in the middle. So the shot itself is cool, but the question was around borders. Even with intent like this, the artist, the photographer is using the border as a compositional element to draw you in. Maybe it's a series, right? Maybe there's a series of really thick black border shots hanging on the wall and it all makes sense. In my head, I look at it as kind of, you have more pixels to play with and you didn't play with them. So I don't know. I'm curious as to what you guys think. All right, so we're going to dive back into the next shot. All this food for thought stuff. Who is this? Oh, this is Ernest. Thank you, Ernest. And you're in Calgary? For some reason, I didn't know you were in Calgary. All right, Freddie Sedano's up next. Freddie says, this place of worship is where God tees off somewhere near Lake Havasu City. Havasu City. Yeah, definitely. I see what you're doing with the golf balls for sure. And showing off that you got a drone. Yeah, man, I hear you. I need to get out there with my drone. What I like about this shot is I like the three golf ball-y looking things here. I like the straight down shot from the drone. That's really cool. But when you look closer, you see these three crosses here. And it kind of brings it home. Okay, without the caption, I wouldn't have known this is a church. But then when you really study the image, you see those there. You're like, oh, this is a church? Wow, okay. And then it gives you a sense of scale and all that. From a compositional standpoint, looking at this shot, I think I would have lost a lot of this space down here. I don't think the space at the bottom is doing us any favors there. And maybe a little bit on the sides, a little bit here. And that would have pushed us in closer to our subject, which is these three golf balls, and to our crosses. It would have made those more obvious. But cool shot, Freddie Sedano. Thank you, my friend. All right. Moving right along here. Next shot is from Lamb. Lamb says, assembling the new spoke wheel is my entry for the theme open. Shot this with his Nikon 1 J5 with a 10mm pancake prime lens, Kuala Lumpur. Let's take a look. Yeah, this is cool. So this one, when I saw this one, I looked at these a day or so ago, and when I saw this one, my brain went to critique mode, and I'm thinking, okay, who's the subject of this shot? Obviously the wheel. So it's making me think of what's going on here. Okay, there's some work going on this wheel, and the wheel is golden. So my question was, do we need to see the golden and the red in that wheel, or would this have been more impactful as a monochromatic shot? And down at the bottom here, we've got this wrench. These pliers are kind of cut off, so maybe punch in a little bit and lose that. So we're not cutting those off, and punch in, maybe even just crop down here, down at the bottom, just a little bit. But cool. This looks like one of those shots where the artist intentionally left the space on the right side like this to put a text overlay. Because this is, maybe this is a 2-page spread in a book or something. But cool shot. Thank you, Lamb. All right. Next shot. Oh, that was it. Wow. All right. We got through all of them. So that was a critique. How was that? All right. So now the unenviable job falls to me to pick a favorite. I'm scrolling through what I just looked at to find the one that I thought was my favorite. And I'm going to bring that up in just a second here. I need drum roll. Drum roll. Wait for it. I got to go with this one. I got to go with this one if it loads. Here we go. All right, here we go. I'm going to show it here. You guys ready? This week's favorite was submitted by Joshua Sommerfeldt. So this shot, I picked it because it's just simple. Like, this is like literally a bug's life. And those shots that just bring you into another world are both scary and beautiful because you're like, wow, there's a lot of detail in there that's around us that we didn't know about. I don't know about that. But this is cool, right? So, I mean, it's tack sharp. It's right on, I mean, the composition is right on. He's got the perfect amount of space around our subject. The colors pop, we've got the contrasting or the complementary colors of the browns against the greens. It's just exceptional. I like it. Really, really good job, man. So congratulations on this shot. All right. So with that, that's the end of this critique. I did it in an hour without Troy Miller. So if Troy Miller was here, we'd only be halfway through this right now because that guy, I'm just telling you, man. No, but it was good. No, this is a good one. From time to time, we'll be doing these solo, whether it's just me solo or a guest doing these solo or Troy Miller doing them solo or together. So I hope this was helpful. Joshua, aka Low Bass Guy, thank you for submitting. Next week's topic is Sunset. Critique number 142 is Sunset. And hosting that one, so beware. So if you have fragile egos, I'm just going to say, Renee Robin doesn't really hold back when she critiques stuff. Not that any of us do, but she tends to really not hold back. So if you want some really good, honest feedback on your shots, on your Sunset shots, make sure you submit them. She's gonna be joining me next week, or joining us hopefully next week for that critique. So it should be good. What do we have going on in the chat here before we end this? Let me see if I can be cool and switch my camera. Look at that. All right. Oh, Stephen Sharp is posting in there. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it looks like I need to give you ability to post links in there. I thought Low Bass Guy had the ability to do that, but yes. So Timber, was it? Tribe Grey Wolf. Tribe Grey Wolf, you can get to the community at TWiP.pro.com. TWiP Pro, TWiPPRO.com. And just on that, I would suggest folks that are watching this, we're about to make some changes in the community. Folks that are in already are grandfathered into, being sort of immune to any pricing changes, obviously. But the prices in TWiP Pro are about to go up, and there's about to be some restructuring of the private area. So folks that are active parts of the community right now will have their own private area, kind of like the airport lounge private area within the community. And that the price tag on that is going to be, relatively chunky. And access to the community, the price is going to go up as well. So all that to say, if you know anyone that wants to become a member of TWiP Pro at the current price, which is $4.99, I would do it right now because it's going to go up to, I can't tell you exactly what it's going to go up to because that's the reveal, but it will be going up to higher than that and with a different pricing increment versus monthly. So all that's in the works with a bunch of other changes and benefits that'll be available to the existing member. That's the people that are that are in the community right now. So lots of fun stuff coming down the road. I'm excited to share that with you. I hope this was good. I hope my comments on borders didn't bother anyone, because, photographers without borders is a thing. And key lines. Photographers without borders are key lines. Let's be clear. But not to say that I won't ever do a border or a key line on any shot. So I don't want to get crap from the community if I post a shot that has a border on it, because I'm reserving the right to use borders. I'm just saying, they're like, borders are like garlic salt, man. Just a little bit every now and then. It's good. Bring the flavor out. It's seasoning. It's not the main course of the meal. All right, folks. Thank you. I appreciate this. I like doing these. Again, I gotta give kudos to this week's winner, Joshua Sommerfeldt, for his encouragement on, just doing live streaming. I need to be doing more live streaming, obviously. Hopefully I will be able to do that over the coming weeks, but there's just been a lot going on. I'm lucky to be in here right now doing this live stream because there's so much happening. I wasn't even sure I was going to be home to do this, but luckily I am home to do this, and we'll catch up. So folks that are watching, you know the deal, you know the flow. This community or this critique will be posted on thisweekinphoto.com as a post, as well as I'll notify you in the community when this goes live. I hope to get this up hopefully within the next couple of hours or so. So with all the goodness in there, and of course, I'll mention that the next topic is also sunset. So congratulations, Joshua Sommerfeldt, on winning or being the favorite this week. And folks, we will see you next week in the critique, maybe even before, if I get up enough nerve to do just sort of a generic live stream between now and then. Anyway, and also folks that are in the community, remember Friday is our member mixer. Friday at 6 p.m. we do that religiously. So please show up in there. For the folks that aren't members, what that is just an informal gathering of members who feel like showing up to shoot the breeze, talk crap to each other, share the stuff that they bought, talk about photos, whatever. It's kind of it's a free form, lightly moderated group that I show up and I'm just part of the group, and I try to keep things on the rails as much as possible, but we hang out in there for an hour plus, sometimes 2 hours, usually 2 hours. But feel free to come and go as you want. And that's it. All right, folks. Sorry, low bass guy. I don't know who Joshua is either. He's some dude that keeps showing up. All right, folks. We will see you in the next one. Thanks again for hanging out with me, and I'll see you next time. Take care.
This is TWiP.